Good morning. I want to thank everybody who joins us. Ukraine Media Center confirms starts its operation today. My name is Olena Atamanova. It's been 10 years of the war, and today is day 544 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor. And traditionally, I want to thank the representatives of all the mass media who tell the world the truth about this war and a heroic resistance. We have invited all of you today to discuss a very interesting topic. We know that on the 23rd of June, year 2022, Ukraine acquired the candidacy status for the accession to the EU, and still we all understand that we have a lot of work to be done, a lot of obligations to fulfill, a lot of homework to do. So today we will be talking about the education online course Ukraine on the way to the European Union. I want to introduce our speakers today. It's Vasyl Sehin, Executive Director of the National Interest Advocacy Network ENDS NGO. Also joining us is Olena, Coordinator of the European Studies of the ENDS, Kyrylo Dovhopol, beta tester of the course. Also joining us is Hanna Yailymova, Ph.D. in applicable mathematics, the expert of the World Bank, the participant of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe programs. And also joining us is Andrei Shelestov, the professor of mathematical modeling and data analysis of Scientific Institute of Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, named after Igor Sikorsky, a decorated specialist. So, dear friends, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Vasyl to talk about this course. What was it made for? What's its purpose? Whom was it made for? Thank you. So before we proceed to the purpose of the course, we'd like to mention the purpose of the organization, how we managed to achieve this milestone with the course. So we created ENDS with the three purposes. First, to promote Ukraine on its way to EU, then to promote Ukraine on its way to NATO, and to support the development of local governance. So those are the priorities that were effective before the full-scale invasion, and they've gained even more actuality after the beginning of the full-scale invasion, because participation in EU is a kind of guarantee of the economic development of Ukraine, development of the rule of law of Ukraine, in accordance to the best Western standards. NATO is definitely the security component. Is very difficult to develop without it. Now we can look for some models when Ukraine can be filled with weapon, but it still does not contemplate collective security, and membership of Ukraine with NATO, in our opinion, is inevitable given the extent of cooperation between Ukraine and the NATO member states. And the third is the support of development of local governance. So the subsidiarity principle is one of the fundamentals of the development of European Union. And in Ukraine, the local governance is the guarantee of the democratic development of Ukraine. So having it all united, we implement projects, one of which is analysis how efficiently Ukraine is moving on its way to the European Union. Do we implement enough or sufficient legislation of EU into our legislation? What are the challenges we still need to cope with or to deal with? So in coalition with other civil organizations and international partners, we prepare different digests to highlight challenges like those. So we have this understanding. We are about to open the negotiations process with the European Union, having analyzed the experience of other countries who walked that road before. It involves thousands of specialists in different areas, and depending on the preparation, on the quality of training of those specialists, Ukraine can efficiently stand for its interests in the negotiations with the European partners. What will be the quotes? What will be the sequence of implementation of technical standards of the European Union, so it does not harm our manufacturers, how our products will be exported, what will be the priority economic sectors to develop, because without those specialists we will have only those conditions imposed that are of interest to European Union countries, because accession of Ukraine is additional competition. This is something that we're observing now in the negotiations between Ukraine and Poland with regard to the export of agrarian products. And another thing that we've noticed on the example of Croatia, the negotiation process was moving very well, where the youth was involved in the negotiations. The average age of the negotiations team was 27 years. And on one hand, it ensured the sustainability of the negotiations, and on the other hand, this youth, they were seeing no limits which were visible to those who work with bureaucracy for a long time. You know, when they hear no, they accept it as no. But youth is more proactive and they look for some creative solutions and they may seek better results in this area. So this is how we've come up with the idea of having this course. First, we need to train the participants of those negotiations teams, the members of those negotiation teams, to inspire them to get involved in Euro integration process, because it's impossible to cover all the sectoral blocks of expertise in law, in media, in law enforcement, in environment. Still, you have to be a sectoral specialist, and then you have to train yourself for Euro integrational process, to study the directives, to study the way the institutions function, I mean the EU institutions. And in future, we hope that those people having obtained relevant experience can become the aides to the European Parliament deputies, and maybe European Parliament deputies themselves when Ukraine becomes a member of EU. This is why we focused on practices and people with experience who on one hand can inspire the trainees of the course. I know that there is one representative here who may share their practice, and on the other hand to provide some technical skills in some areas, to understand how the process is going on, what the attention is being paid to, and how to develop themselves further on. And the way this course ends, it will be wrapped up with visits to Brussels and maybe some other states to get the trainees familiarized with the way the EU institutions function, so they get more inspired to see it in real life, maybe to get some new contacts, because networking is critically important here. When you can get some information beforehand, process it, and then react properly. Thank you. Ms. Olena, the floor is yours. Please tell us some words about the course. We know, I think I've heard the figure about the Poland, that more than 6,000 people were involved in European integration process, that on a systemic basis were working with different government authorities to make it happen. We understand that we still have a long way to go to achieve this number of people, and maybe this course will assist to it. So let's talk about it. Yes, very good remark. We want to cover the maximum amount of people possible, and this is why we work with such known, reputed education platforms as Prometheus, because they cover a lot of trainees having a lot of experience, a lot of databases, email dissemination and popularity and stuff like that. So we got this a little bit crazy idea. We went a bit beyond their format. I'm fond of it. I think many of you have seen such lectures as Timothy Snyder on history of Ukraine. And the feature of these lectures is that he reads the lecture in front of the live people. People ask questions. He's in front of the audience. There is live interaction between the professor and the trainees. And usually the online courses, I think that Many of the listeners of our press conference know how it happens. Like a person is being just recorded, it's just like a talking head, but we decided to withdraw from that format. So we invited a small audience to an apartment of Bogdan Gavrilishin, a prominent Ukrainian actor, and we've decided to make it as a chamber lecture so that there are people also on the screen where the lecturer interacts with the audience, and online platform they said, wow, that's way beyond our format, but we are ready to for an experiment like this, because our task is to cover the thousands of real people. I hope we will make it. I hope that we will have a couple of hundreds of people certified, and I'm sure there will be thousands of people who've listened to those lectures. So as to the format of content itself, as Mr. Vasyl said, we cannot cover all the sectors. However, we've tried to make a star course to invite the best people, the best ones we were able to involve, the best ones we were able to get interested with this idea. And I think we achieved what we wanted, because we cover 7 topics. We have 7 modules. Among our lecturers are Andrius Kubilius, former Prime Minister of Lithuania, a big friend of Ukraine, Rasa Yuknevichus, a former Minister of Defense of Lithuania, and now a very big friend of Ukraine, European Parliament Deputy, Dmytro Shymkiv, a big person in Ukraine, innovator whose innovations we use now. You see, we use 4G internet and a lot of things that, thanks to Shymkiv, we probably use here today. Olga Trofimtseva, she's ex-special ambassador of Ministry of Foreign Affairs for special purposes, and a person who contributed a lot to the Green Deal, Mariana Onufrik, one of the best social policy experts, Gennady Maksak, expert on defense matters, on security and defense issues. Our wonderful team of specialists, Natalia Kasula, Hanna Yailymova, Andrei Shelestov, the scientists who created a wonderful module for environment monitoring thanks to the AI technologies, space satellites, and they can tell us in more detail about this part. But thanks to this constellation of people, the people who know how to talk to audience, thanks to this magic, to this chemistry between them and the audience, our course, our modules, it comprises more than 40 lectures, but you can listen to it in just one breath. It will be published on Prometheus tomorrow. Please search for it, and we are very curious about your feedback, because according to the feedback of the people that were perceiving it from the inside, it's being perceived very easily. It gives us understanding where we are on the way to EU, what's our interest of Ukraine, what's our homework, what can we contribute to the European Union as the civilization. And in fact, there is a serious charge of optimism no matter what's happening now. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kyrylo. Can you please share your experience, your practical experience? What can you comment? What are the life hacks that you may offer? Well, first of all, I want to say that every person, every speaker who was present are unique in their own way, and as it was said, Dmytro Shymkiv is among the best speakers in my opinion. The depth of his intellect, of his thought, is something that inspired me and impressed me a lot. the representatives of Lithuania, I could put them in the second place. They are the people of the system who know how EU works. You understand what we can take from them, what we can copy from them if we will be in touch with the European integration processes. There is something that we may copy from them. Also, I like this format way better. I have a subscription with Prometheus. I use it, and this format, as Miss Olena says, there is a speaker right in front of the camera. Well, it's a good format, but you know, we perceive it more, so to say, coldly, rather than when there is a live audience, there are speakers, you can ask questions, and then you can say, yes, I was involved. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrei. You are the lecturer of one of the modules of this course. Please share your experience. What is this course about? What are your impressions? Thank you very much for this opportunity to take part in the preparation of this course. And the main goal we were going to achieve is to share a practical experience of interaction with the representatives of the European Union, because for a very long time we were cooperating with the Joint Research Center, an organization from Italy which ensures the scientific support of the European Commission functioning. So there are such organizations which fulfill their functions in Europe. So since Ukraine has a lot of homework to do to prepare itself, to get itself prepared to the accession to the European Union, obviously one of the most important tasks is implementation, to make sure that Ukraine uses those technologies that are adopted in Europe. In our opinion, it may be something narrow, but on the other hand, the use of the independent information sources, I'm not probably going to go into detail, into technical detail. There will be information available in the course itself, but talking about the satellite information in Europe, it's used for subsidizing and monitoring the use of those subsidies. So use of such sources, it allows you to objectivize the facilities to make sure that all the units work in the proper way, and it can be monitored and controlled in that way. This is how Europe works, and we can say that a very recent but very successful practical step taken by Ukraine was when the State Agrarian Register was opened during the war, where our farmers can get registered, they can register, they can sign up for this program. The World Bank also subsidizes, specifically now when the times are hard. Many farmers are asking themselves how to survive in this market now during the war, because everybody knows that there's a lot of problems. So we also have this DIA application. There are some projects that are funded because it's clear that such activities should be supported within some formal mechanism, including financial ones. So such activities, they exist. So we are also the participants of the World Bank projects since 2016 of different programs that are related to ensuring the transparent use of land resources in Ukraine and development of certain monitoring methods, technologies, and so on and so forth. Specifically, the World Bank, within their big projects, they use our information products to implement certain steps that make us closer to Europe, significantly closer, because it's very important to use the technologies which are understandable for the Europeans, something that allow us to implement the transparent relations on our level. It's very important. Without it, Europe will have a lot of questions. This is something that can make us way closer to the Europe. And the experience that we share, we hope that we've made a substantial contribution to make us closer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Miss Hanna. I would like to ask you a question. Why did you decide to get involved in this course? In your opinion, will such course assist to your European Union integration? And just a little bit about your module. Thank you very much for this opportunity to take part in the development of this course. That's very honorable to communicate what we do from the scientific point of view. I think really it's important because everybody stays in their vacuum bubble. They may not know what's going on around them, how people step by step get closer to Europe. We try to communicate it within our competencies. We show how the satellite monitoring can be instrumental for accession of Ukraine to European Union. Apart from the agriculture, the satellite monitoring can be used in many other areas, such as forest monitoring, the monitoring of water quality, air quality, and many other things. So it's not only about the agriculture. I think that every or almost every scientist can find some component of their interest with the use of satellite data. Thank you very much, Miss Olena. Let's try to finalize. So tomorrow we will be able to start this course at Prometheus. It's made of 7 modules and 40 lectures. Yes, the official opening of the course will be tomorrow on the 22nd of August. An active part of the course when you will be able to communicate and study and to get certified. It will be on for 3 months, but in reality all the materials of the course will be available afterwards. If you need to get a certificate, it's desirable to fit your time in 3 months. The recommended time of the course is 4 weeks. We made a beta testing, and within 4 weeks you can listen to more than 40 lectures in 7 modules. You can pass the test. It consists only of 35 questions. 60% of correct answers is sufficient to get certified. And what it gives you, in fact, we do not lose touch with the people. It does not really mean that we've posted the course and we have nothing to do with it anymore. As Vasyl said, networking is very important. We are interested who is curious about this course, because our goal is to create those teams of people who will be involved in Euro integration and negotiations process. For the graduates of this course, our organization and NGO contemplates working with them and picking the members of the team to go to Brussels. Like Vasyl Sehin mentioned, I want to emphasize it once again that this is a motivation element. Those people who underwent our course, among them we will work with them to pick them for work with our organization. It's not only about the journey to Brussels, it's work on integration of those people into Ukrainian bodies where they can work afterwards in some bureaucratic organizations within the process of our integration into European Union. There should be people who understand what it is and to actually do that job. They can be the aides of the European Parliament deputies, the European Parliament deputies themselves. So our goals are quite ambitious. It's not about education, but maybe enlightenment. But this is what it starts with. We have questions on the floor. Olena Sobko, Ukrinform. In your opinion, for whom your training course will be of the most interest, whether it's youth or elder people, and if it's no secret, Can you tell us what is the number of people involved in this process? How did you search for lecturers? What was the easiest and what was the most difficult part of creating the course? Well, I'm coordinator of this area and the organization work was done by me, but I wouldn't be able to make it all alone. As a coordination manager, I was working on my own, but with the support of the whole team of people. For example, the communication department of our organization, who were helping in dissemination of information about the lectures. We were working in partnership with the family of Bogdan Havrilishin in a sense of preparation of audience and recording of the lectures. They were helping to get the audience involved in the chamber lectures. As to the audience that we count on young people who are the students of the latest years of the higher educational institutions, maybe sectoral specialists, maybe economists, lawyers who see themselves working with the European Union authorities, and those people who work with the ministries and who want to get more information about that. The media people who write about European integration and they want to know more about the process. We hope they could be young journalists or not so young. We don't have any age census there, you know. We cannot say that people aged 42 cannot take part in European integration process. That's just not right. We hope those can be people who are some civil actors, because the active civil actors in fact are the future politicians, the future deputies. They're the representatives of the local governance, because decentralization is a part of European integration, and the more power the local governments have, the more European is that society. And again, as to the organization, I would like to thank your question about the search for the speakers. It's networking, it's the help from our friends, the search for contacts among the friends of our friends, is the openness of those speakers themselves, openness to cooperation, because I never met Olga Trofimtseva before. I never knew Dmytro Shymkiv before. He just contacted me through WhatsApp. Well, believe me, if you have a noble goal, if you explain the design to everybody, people agree to this, and we appreciate it a lot. Well, regarding the search for speakers, the logic of our organizations, the Network for Protection of National Interests, so this is how we were looking for them, through international partners, through in regions. And another part where it was more complicated, it was to physically invite those speakers to the space. Maybe it was a challenge because, as it was said in the presentation of the course, we wanted there to be a very vivid discussion between the lecturers and the audience. As we all switched to Zoom, to online, such way of cooperation became more complicated. Just a small feature: the meeting with Shymkiv took place on the Holy Saturday before the Easter. He was saying that there will be a holy fire condescending upon us. So we were with the audience, we were buying the additional chairs on the very last moment, because there were more people wishing to enter that apartment of Havrilishin. There were a lot of moments that I will remember, I will recall with a smile on my face, but back then it all seemed to be like burning. Everybody was rushing, but now we recall those moments with warmth. Thank you for the presentation of this course. I wish you have a lot of views, and I hope it helped our Ukrainians to undergo their integration process, and as it becomes more clear to all of us, thank you, dear friends, for being with us. Our next briefing is at 12 o'clock. We will be talking on a very interesting topic. We will have the presentation of the organization US-Ukraine Veterans Bridge. We'll talk about the veterans, so stay tuned. Let's work together for our victory. Glory to Ukraine.